It is an election year, and as much as everybody likes to complain, okay, maybe not everybody. Well, no, pretty much everybody. There are a lot of really wonderful people trying to do some really good things. It's the wonderful thing about America is that you get to be that person if you want to have a voice. In the studio with me right now, I have Jeffrey Bomberger, who we're going to talk about Jeffrey Bomberger for Congress. He has been a lifelong resident of District 25 here in the Santa Clarita Valley. He attended Acton Elementary School out here in the Valley, High Desert Junior High. He was an All-Foothill League running back at Valencia High School, worked in fitness management at local gyms. He's a strong person with a strong personality and some very strong thoughts on what should be happening in America today. Jeffrey Bomberger, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I want to talk about what you're involved. One of my favorite things, my dead crush is Thomas Jefferson, and he was one of those people who was very outspoken. He had a lot of opinions. He wasn't afraid to speak about them, and I feel like but he was also a gentleman, and I do believe you are similar, cut from the same cloth. You have some very strong ideas, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about Time for an Independent Movement. You are someone who, and I love this tagline, this other one, we are the revolution.
That's
Again,
right.
My dead crush that was his time period. Talk to me a little bit about your platform and some ideas that you're taking a very big bite of the apple. Talk to me a bit about your thoughts.
Absolutely. I'm running in this congressional election because I do believe it is time for an independent political revolution of sorts. We have the undue influence of big money in our politics that is crippling our representative democracy. And a lot of this is also because the two-party system is beholden to corporate interests, corporate lobbyists, and really high-priced lawyers. And I think it is time that we stand up, we unite together outside the two-party system and say, hey, we just want a government that works for everybody, not just the political elite, not just corporate lobbyists. And I'm ready to stand up and take on that fight and rally people around that cause because I think we're yearning for it.
And you're not afraid to use some big language. The idea of ending the system of legalized bribery.
Yes.
And to limit lobbying money. Those guys, they seem to be running the show. Close the revolving door and ending corporate dominance of legislative process. And the idea that the money seems to be what people listen to, and it's been a long time problem. And this country was founded on people who got up and spoke on behalf of the people and wanted good things for future generations, for the children, for an aging population, and so this is something that you're speaking on the part of that. Talk to me about Democracy Spring Arrest.
Yeah,
you were one of 1,400 activists.
I was.
And 1,400 activists arrested.
Yes.
Were you one of the ones? Was this because you went to just speak and peacefully speak?
Yeah, so I joined up with this group called Democracy Spring, and it was a coalition of over 100 activist groups from all across the country, non-partisan, crossing the spectrum, progressive groups, conservative Tea Party members were there protesting big money in politics. And essentially, we participated in what has been the largest act of nonviolent civil disobedience in this century. Now, it's only 16 years old, but we haven't seen anything like this before. So we got there, we marched on the Capitol, and we basically demanded our congressional leaders to either take action on 4 very populist-friendly bills that would call for free and fair elections and to get big money out of politics. Either you take movement or make progress on those goals, or you're going to send a bunch of us to jail. And I was one of the first 430 people that were arrested on the first day in this large act of nonviolent civil disobedience. And people have asked me, what did this do? What did this accomplish? And I'll tell you exactly what it accomplished is that recently 100 congressional members created a caucus to begin to discuss taking action on these pieces of legislation that we essentially put out there and put on the table. So
you made a difference.
We made a difference. We were trending on Facebook and Twitter as this was happening. People were talking about it. We were largely blacked out by the corporate media. There was some talk about it, 30 seconds here and there on CNN. But largely, this was a social media-driven kind of idea that spread.
It's a whole new world. It's a whole new revolution because of these multi-platform abilities to communicate and make things happen and congregate and gather and have a movement. Now, can I ask you? You're from this area. You lived your whole life here, and you're young.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? This drive to want to do something. Can you cite the moment in your history or your upbringing here in relatively sleepy Santa Clarita? What was the moment for you that made you want to be involved?
You know what's funny about that? My people ask me this obviously all the time. My parents aren't really political they voted, but they weren't really engaged, And really what happened was I was, 14, I think, when 9/11 happened. And at the time, being a critically thinking, sort of kind of socially conscious teenager, I asked, why in the world would somebody do this? And so I started to ask questions, and I started to dig deeper, and I started to pay attention, and I started to look at foreign policy and what America's role in foreign policy has been. It drew my attention into the political sphere, and I fell in love with it. And I had a fantastic AP government teacher out here in Valencia, Greg Hayes.
I was going to say, are you allowed to tell us who?
Absolutely, Greg Hayes. He's a great guy, and he gave us this great talk about be your own guru. Who are you going to listen to at the end of the day? Is it going to be teachers and parents and the authority figures? Is it going to be your politicians and celebrities? Are they telling you how to live your life? Or are you going to question authority? And are you going to kind of take a stand on your own and assert yourself? And that launched, for me, it launched a real passion for politics, for questioning. I studied philosophy and religious studies in college. So that continued on. And I worked on a couple of political campaigns a couple years ago. Marianne Williamson was an independent down in Los Angeles. And the fire just is there. It burns. I've been working as a personal trainer for over 10 years out here. So I spend a lot of time with people. And I love people, and I love helping. And I think what we need more now than ever are just representatives who want to go to Washington and represent the goodwill of the people.
And you certainly know drive and strength. Now, sometimes when it becomes a political career, this is your first foray into this. In the event that you're not yet heard, because you're beginning this, are you in this for the long haul?
This is absolutely something that I'm ready to dedicate my life to. And whether it's inside or outside the actual workings of government, the truth is we need people to be engaged. We need people to participate in this political process, because when people don't pay attention, corporations pay attention for you. And it's a sad thing. And I'll throw a stat out here to really emphasize this point. Between 2007 and 2012, the top 200 most politically active companies spent $5.2 billion on campaign donations and lobbying. Now, in return, they received, over the same time period, $4.4 trillion in federal tax breaks, subsidies, and grants. We have never seen, we the people don't see that kind of return on investment for our tax dollars.
No, we sure don't.
You know what I mean?
No, we sure don't.
So we need people who are willing to call this corporate welfare state what it is. That $4.4 trillion is $100 million more than we spent on Social Security for 50 million Americans over that same time period. It's time to bring the people's voice back to representative government. And as far as this being a career path, like I said, I am in this fight, whether it's inside or outside of government, because it's about mobilizing people. It's about us being the change that we want to see in the world, not to be cliche, but it really is. And I'm excited to be a part of this conversation and hoping that people will hear this and say, man, this fires me up, and I am ready to do something, because we all have the ability to do that.
Jeffrey Bomberger, America needs more citizens like you. If people would like to learn more about your run for Congress, how can they find out?
They can check out votebomberger.com, which is my official website. Also very active on Facebook and Twitter. And I am like a disseminator of information. I love information. I love statistics. There's a teacher part of me. That's part of being a coach and a trainer. And so I think that an informed public is the absolute necessity to a free society.
And get them out there and get them voting, too.
Yes,
get them fired up to have a voice.
Exactly.
Again, Jeffrey Bomberger. It's Bomberger for Congress. Thank you for stopping by today and for having this conversation with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.